So welcome everybody to Tracy's Tuesday Talk. And so I've been out of the loop for a couple of weeks because my dad passed away, and most people know that. And I just want to do a shout out to everybody, including Christine, my wonderful guest today. That I have totally felt supported and loved and surrounded by well wishes and good energy and prayers and blessings and all those kinds of things. And so I just want to thank everybody for all that. And we're being fed, like people are bringing food over, and boy, it looks like I have big guns. Hey, right there. Not really, it's just my sweatshirt. I just noticed that as I was anyway. And I'm getting food. And so, our family is being fed for, 2 weeks, thanks to wonderful, kind-hearted people who bring me food in a safe, COVID-free way. And so I'm very grateful for that. And it's amazing how something as simple as a meal can alleviate so much stress. Today, we are interviewing my great friend, Christine. And so this is Christine, everyone. She's on this side of my screen. Christine and I met, holy cow, I think it's like it's going on 15 years, I think.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. So Christine came to, when I was working at Woodcliff United Church, Christine was invited to be a part of a panel of, I think they were all women from various faith traditions and practices, to come to the women's group and be bombarded with questions about everything non-Christian, I think is what the plan was. and Christine and I instantly were drawn to each other, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm so grateful for this wonderful woman's presence in my life, and I'm grateful, like, on a regular basis for you and your energy and what you do for me from afar.
There's something that happens when you meet with someone that you recognize their spirit, when you understand that like-minded interest, I suppose, in things of spirit and kindness and love and compassion. That's really what I felt when I met you, and you did bombard me with questions. It seems to me you were the predominant questioner, which I loved, because oftentimes people step back when they hear Wiccan or witch. They just don't understand, and I get that, which was why originally I agreed to be part of the panel, part of the interfaith discussion group. Mm-hmm. I don't have all the answers, but at the same time, I think that it's important for people to know that just as there are kind and loving Christians that don't fit the mold of what often people assume, that, there's others of other spiritual denominations who also are caring and loving and want to be there for folks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a wonderful meeting of minds, and I have just so appreciated knowing you over the years. You've been an amazing woman.
Thank you. In broad terms, if you can talk about it in broad terms, tell us a little bit about what Wicca is. And for the record, I'm putting this like out there in the universe. I have said to Christine many times that one day I will be a student of hers, and now it's out there in the world. So it's going to happen at some point because it's now out there.
You just know that doing that sets the intention, right?
Exactly. That's right.
Too funny. So I'm not great at doing Wicca as in the Reader's Digest condensed version, but I'll try.
Okay.
So cut me off if I run on. So basically, my understanding, and I won't speak for everyone, but my understanding is that this is potentially one of the oldest spiritual paths and one of the newest spiritual paths. So we do definitely identify with the Indigenous peoples of Britain and Europe and their practices, in as much as we understand that to be the case.
Mhm.
However, Wicca didn't really come into common terminology until around about the early 50s, after the witchcraft laws in Britain were repealed.
Right.
And at that point, Gerald Gardner produced a book, and suddenly Wicca was on a lot of people's tongues and in their consciousness. So he claimed that he studied with a group in the New Forest in England in the 30s and became initiated. And from that point on, it has just grown phenomenally. I don't know the numbers at this point. I know that it was outpacing so many other religions because people feel like they've come home. We're very careful not to appropriate the spirituality of other Indigenous or Aboriginal groups. We try to stay very close to the things that resonate with us.
Mhm.
So that might be that people honor the earth and they identify with the cycles and the rhythms of the earth because we see that in our own lives. From winter through spring, through summer, through fall, and back to winter. We can see that happening within ourselves. We also honor the phases of the moon. We resonate with that as well, from a time of new beginnings to a time of growth to a time of fullness, and then waning, which is kind of where I'm at in my point in life. So that's collectively what you would anticipate someone who says that they are Wiccan to do or to follow or to believe. Individually, the different beliefs can vary tremendously, from people who believe that the earth is divine and sacred and that is their divinity, to people who believe that all is one, so all the gods, all the goddesses are from one source, to people who put a different face and a different name on their divine ones and believe that they come from a different place, a different origin, and have different things that we resonate with or connect to. When we come together in circle, and I like to emphasize that it is circle because there is no hierarchy. We do most things by consensus. It's not a comfortable fit for a lot of people who like to have someone tell them what to do or someone tell them how to think, because each person is responsible for their learning, their growth, and their practice. So in circle, we stand on a level playing field. We honor the elemental energies and the powers that come with those. We honor spirit, and we honor the lady who we believe has 1,000 names known and unknown. And we honor the Lord who we believe has 1,000 names known and unknown. So essentially that's how we practice, regardless of people's individual beliefs. They put those aside when they meet in circle so that we stand on common ground and we unite our energies and we come together. So that's it in a nutshell right there.
So where do you feel like you're also a teacher in this in a lot of ways, and so what does that look like?
So what that looks like is that I had practiced as a solitary for many, many years on my own, learning and growing and practicing. But I had several people come to me and ask if I would teach them. That included my adult children. And never having gone through formal training, I felt like that was important for me to experience before I could do that for other people in good conscience. One of our fundamental beliefs is that you can do anything you like so long as it doesn't harm anyone. So what you find is that people spend an awful lot of time examining, what are my intentions? What are my motives? Why am I doing this? Can I do this well without bringing harm to anyone or myself? So I did go through a formal set of years of training to put myself in the position of third degree high priestess, which means that within the community I function as a mentor, as an elder. Again, I don't have all the answers, but life experience gives me, I guess, a perspective. And I'm really good at asking questions of people about why are you doing that? Why do you think that way? What do you believe? So that too, I think, comes with life experience, that recognizing that the vast majority of folks have it all within themselves and they just need to tap into that.
One of the things that I remember you and I talking about a long time ago was I remember you saying something about how when you meet in circle, it's your responsibility to make sure that circle is safe. And so that was a time in my United Church leadership, early on in my leadership, where we were very much talking about inclusivity and including everybody, and not saying no to anyone, and being overly inclusive. I think now at this point, I would say it would be overly inclusive, but and you saying that it was so important as a leader to be that trusted person to, when people gather and you've organized the gathering, that they're all safe.
Yeah.
And you've created that safe space, and you have a right to say you're unsafe. You're actually not, you're not welcome right now. And so that was the first time that I, as a leader, was able to say to myself, holy, like that's so true. I mean, we all want to be inclusive. We all want to be welcoming and all those kinds of things. But at some point, we are also allowed to say, this is not safe anymore because of whatever, this and this and this. And so how do we change that, and how do we ensure that the people that come and gather are safe? And so I think that whole idea, and then going through the affirming process in the United Church, and all those, it just cements that idea of safe space is so important to be for spiritual journeys. And for me as a leader to say, it's okay for me to say to somebody, yeah, actually not. Yeah.
Yep. It's hard. That I think is one of the most difficult things about leadership, is to take on the responsibility for the safety of folks. One of my concerns, I guess, is that it frustrates me that churches have to go through a process in order to be designated as affirming. I don't understand why the ones who aren't that way inclined aren't the ones that have to be designated, because I think everyone brings so much. However, that being said, people come with baggage. And again, in your role and responsibility as a leader, it's up to you to ensure that folks who are coming are safe. So we go through a process of pretty heavy vetting before people even get in the door. In the olden days, and actually I think still today, there's reference to us as the hidden children of the goddess. So we prefer to stay on the periphery. You might see a circle of us up on Nose Hill, but it'll be done quietly.
Yeah.
You might find us in parks. We're not in open buildings that people are free to come in. We're pretty hard to find. And I think that that's not a bad thing. And I think too, setting high standards of expectations means that people come together knowing that they're protected and they protect others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it becomes very much a community mindset too, right? That everybody looks out for everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love that. So one of the biggest reason I wanted to talk to you, well, there's lots of reasons I want to talk to you, but the biggest reason is that we are, we entered into autumn equinox, and now is a time of darkness, and it's become very real to me only because of my own personal experiences of late. And so my question is, because this is what I love about the little that I know about the Wiccan tradition, is this honoring every season and every time. And I know that when I send you winter solstice, you always reply, let the light return, or the light returns, or something about the light returning, right? And that's what we as a society too, we look forward to that, because we know that the days are going to get longer, and this time of darkness is actually short relatively, right? And so, but it seems so heavy. In your tradition, what are some things that you hold up in this dark time that continues to bring the light, the hope, and that into your beings? What are some things that you would suggest, or that you would encourage in this time of dark?
Okay, well, first of all, I think that for those of us that practice Wicca, this is just part of the cycle.
Yeah.
So just as we finish with the final harvest at the end of October, and most of us sigh a huge breath of relief because all that work is now done for the time being, our focus changes. We change the language. So we have, instead perhaps of focusing on being in the time of dark, we'll focus on this is the time for mystery, leading up to the time of illumination. And I think that simple shift makes an enormous difference because there is a connotation of dark as being a time to be afraid, or a time to feel cut off or lonely. Whereas if you're thinking in terms of mystery, it's more like a portal, or an opening into greater depth of inner growth and reflection. So I think that's a big part of it. Also, in the course of daily practice, for a lot of us, that would involve lighting of candles, lighting of incense, standing under a hot shower and being thankful for the warmth of that, dipping into a hot bath and feeling yourself enfolded. So similar to that great sigh of relief you might find yourself giving when you climb into bed at the end of the day, this time feels like that for a lot of us. I think just being in tune with the rhythms and the cycles of the earth, again, it changes the focus and triggers that sense of, oh, thank goodness, it's a time to just rest. It also involves opting out of the incredible busyness that a lot of people get sucked into at this time of year. So for me, this time of isolation doesn't really look a whole lot different than my normal November, December lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's that as well, is that I recognize that by this time of year, I need to just be quiet and be tranquil and be calm and allow myself time just to be and not to necessarily be doing.
Right. Right.
Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And I love that, because I hear that often from farmers and people who work the land, and gardeners too, where as much as we love working in the ground and planting things and tending to it, and then harvesting, and it is at the end of the year, at the end of the season, it's a stressful time for a lot of folks that have farms and bigger things, and even smaller gardens, but you want to get everything in, and you want to preserve everything, and you want to, and fruit doesn't last, long on the counter. You got to get it processed and all those kinds of things. So it is a little bit of a stressful time. And then just to be able to come into a moment where you can, it's almost like the creation is giving you a time off. Creation is saying, okay, you've done well, good and faithful servant. And
take a break.
Take a break. Yeah, exactly. And I love that, because I think you're right. It's a different perspective, and it gives us it's almost as if nature is giving us permission to say, yeah, like this is now the switch of gears, and it's good, and it's all good, right?
Yeah, I feel quite strongly about that when you begin to pay attention, that it is a cycle, that come winter time, when the ground is bare or covered in a blanket of snow, it's a signal to just relax and rest and not put so much pressure on yourself. because come spring, there'll be another level of busyness, and that's as it should be. And so in order to be busy, we need to rest.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the balance to me is just so important, and I can't emphasize that enough. And at the same time, to take advantage of the fact that we are in a period of dark gives a really good excuse to light all the candles and to burn the incense and to just really involve those senses that instead of being in our heads, we can get out of that and just absorb and take it in and feel the softness of the candlelight and appreciate the scent that perhaps is coming from the incense, just to shift gears again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it is that, you know, I talk about every time we light the Christ candle on Sunday mornings, I often will say, you know, we human beings need a tangible thing.
Yes.
Right? Because just to say, let's take a deep breath and think about Jesus or God or whatever, is not, for some reason, it's not enough for us. Like, we need something to focus on. And I like that. And I think that may be why, you know, indirectly, this is why we have Christmas lights. This is why, you know, we have these things that illuminate the night, to help our spirits, but to also focus on, this is actually really pretty. This is really, you know, think about something else other than the dark and and what we've come to think of as being negative, when it really is an opportunity to see things differently.
I think, yeah, again, changing the language, that this is a time of mystery. So reflecting, remembering, honoring our beloved ones that have passed on. All of those things that this time of dark gives us an opportunity to just step back and do is really huge, because on a warm summer's day, we're likely not thinking that way.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, that whole idea of mystery is much more comforting. And I look forward to that word, right? That's a word that I can look forward to, is mystery. It's like, oh,
Oh, what's next?
Right, exactly. What's next? Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. That you know, it helps me, and I'm hoping that it helps other people that might be listening, and we're embarking in this, or living it right now, this dark, you know, less light in the world and in our days, and amidst a pandemic, which is a whole other layer of, yeah. So.
Yeah.
So we can live into that mystery, and we can live into what may be, right? What is still to come. Yeah.
What is potential? But we're also in that knowledge that the light will return, and that our world may have a new normal look about it, but it will be normal for us. So holding in there and holding fast and staying strong are so important. And in the meantime, just loving yourself up and doing what you need makes such a difference.
So true. Thank you for your wisdom.
Ah, well, what a joy you are to speak with.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And like I say, I needed you. So
I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. You always are. Christine always is with me. Always. You know, I just have to send her a text or a message, and I get something back right away that warms my heart. So you have a special spot in my life and in my heart, and I don't think you're going anywhere. I think, if anything, I'm coming to you more often.
Well, big hugs and lots of love.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for this time. And yeah, and we'll, you and I will touch base again. We will, for sure.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Yeah.
Be blessed.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.